Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Angela Shurina. I'm your host, I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to research, investigate, and then bring to you, share with you all the recent, most effective, cutting edge, very often fun and useful and no doubt transformative brain body tools from all corners of science and practical psychology and coaching, all with the purpose to help you, to help myself, to help all of us to take better control of our thoughts, of our emotions, and most importantly, our actions. So we get to experience, so we get to build the life that we absolutely love living, and we absolutely destroy or overcome all the challenges that are in the way of us getting and building and creating the life that we truly want, that we truly enjoy. Folks, today we are talking about the core principles behind a self-mentoring, self-motivating, self-growth mindset that will help you. And now that I have better, more clear idea, more structured idea, because we have better scientists giving us the tools, right? Now I can share that with you and apply it to my own life. So today we're talking about core mindset skill set, core mindset settings, so to speak, necessary for us to adopt in order to get better at changing ourselves. You know, the subtitle of this podcast is Change in Days, Not in Years, because when we get the strategies, when we get the tools to be able to change ourselves and change non-working patterns and things in our lives much better, there is literally no limit to what we can achieve. Well, maybe there is a limit, the laws of physics, etc. still apply, but somehow the universe has this magic. When we work on ourselves, when we master ourselves, a lot of other things just fall into place almost magically. So today we're talking about the science and practice, the best toolkits that are actually very simple, folks. So stay tuned. It's not going to be a bunch of science and theories. No, these tools are very, very simple, and they're all science-backed, research-backed, real-life tested. So when you incorporate that into your life, into your practice, and nothing going to be incorporated in your life without practice, right, folks? So let's understand one thing. Nothing going to change unless we put it into consistent practice. And yes, today you're going to learn these tools, these mindset tools, how you can change your mindset for the better so you can change everything else for the better. Yes, you're going to learn them today, but the practice, it's in the future. And we only get better with practice. So then take I recommend one, maximum two pieces of advice, of practical wisdom, and then start applying it in different situations. When you finish listening to this podcast, take one again or two pieces of advice, take a note, stop this podcast while listening to that and make a note and tell yourself, this is what I'm going to practice for the next 7 days or even for the next 3 days, and consciously make a note of it so you don't forget. And at the end of the day, reflect on that. Like, how did it go? Did I even remember? And if not, then put it somewhere where you'll see it and what will help you to remember. So 1-2 pieces of advice, 1-2 tools, and focus on practicing them for the next 3, I recommend 7 days, and then take the next tool. And so also, folks, when you practice new communication tools, new action-taking tools, new mindset tools, a very useful tip for you that I learned helps me a lot, and it seems that that's the skill that's helping a lot of people to introduce change or behavior into their lives faster. Very useful tool is to learn how to slow down, and also think about all the situations that you usually have a default mode of taking action, and then imagine those situations in your head first. And when you are in that situation that you have your default response, default behavior, but you want to change it, so slow down. Just be conscious of what's happening and how it's happening and the response that you usually would give. And then that moment, just really slow down and remember that principle that you're working on. And like, okay, let me test it out here. And again, maybe it's going to feel for you like an eternity, like you are so slow to respond or to give an answer or to take an action. But that's how change happens. In Navy SEALs, in Special Forces, they have this saying, go slow to go fast. And I believe that's exactly it. I'm finally getting what it actually means. Go slow to go fast means slow down so you consciously change and optimize your behavior based on your new knowledge, based on new information. And then once you slowly incorporate it into your new behavior, that's when you can speed up and you can go faster. Learning of the skills is much slower than using them in real life. So slow down. The first thing I want to start, folks, is stress. These days, I don't like to have a word or a phrase stress management. I like to use words stress fitness. Because stress, and that's what researchers tell us, are actually not good or bad. What makes stress negative or positive is the story. In science, they say appraisal that we give to the event that happens, to the conversation, to something happening in reality. So things happen, and believe it or not, but something that can be stressful for you, like perhaps a feedback at work, or perhaps a specific workout or a certain conversation, it can be stressful for you, but there are a ton of other people for whom this is not stressful. That can be enjoyable. That can be something that they're looking forward to. And instead of feeling like they're stressed and under pressure, they feel excited. They feel approach, response. So stress, it's what we call stress. It's just an event. It's actually not good or bad. Nothing in life, almost nothing in life good or bad. It's the story, the appraisal that we give to it, the story that we tell ourselves about the thing that happens. That is what makes it either negative or positive. In business, we can lose a lot of our clients. And yes, at first, for a lot of people, it would seem like that is negative. But then on the second look, you're like, but that will force me to find a new way to work and create solutions and create business model. And this will force me to change faster. So this is the help. Because of the old story, it will still feel uncomfortable, like I'm telling you from a personal experience. But then you tell yourself this story, and that is most probably the true story. Discomfort that is caused by that event will force you to look into other ways of doing things, to changing things faster because you are under that stress, you're under that pressure. And that will help you to grow. That will help you to build success. That will help you to build abundance. So that thing, like losing a lot of clients, might feel like a stress, that is bad kind of stress. But then if you look at it, that is the way for you to succeed. That is the way of universe of life telling you need to change in order to succeed, in order to get what you actually want, what you say you want. Right? And on the latest podcast episode of Andrew Huberman, one of the latest episodes, he was talking to an expert, David Yeager, who researches growth mindset, and they talk a lot about the stress response. So the stress is, again, and he also mentions that the stressor, the event, the conversation, that person, they're not negative or positive. It's our story about that event that makes it either negative or positive for us. And because of that, believe it or not, our body, our brain, they experience the stress in different ways physiologically. Our blood pressure is different. The blood circulation is different. If we experience negative stress, our blood circulation actually constricts to protect us from bleeding to death, because our brain still thinks, well, if we're under stress, we might be under attack and might be wounded and might bleed. So we need to constrict our blood flow to all of our organs and tissues so we don't bleed to death just as fast, right? Whereas we respond to stress positively and we understand that we have everything we need to take care of whatever it is that happens, and it actually leads to good, leads to success. It's an opportunity. Then blood flow is just one of the examples. It actually expands and it delivers more oxygen, more blood towards our organs, our tissues, and everything, our brain. So we get to better thinking, we come up with better solutions, and we put all of our effort, all of our energy, all of our resources to solving this problem that we can handle. So our brain, then our body are not in the state of fear, but instead in this state of challenge, of hunt, like we are out there to get after it, right? Depending on the story, folks, that is the magic. Depending on the story that we tell ourselves about this stressor or stressful situation, depending on that story, our biology changes and also our brain changes. It either gives us motivation to take action or makes us want to crawl under the blanket and do nothing. And that's the power of these stories that we tell ourselves, folks. Stressor, it can actually enhance you, can give you energy, or it can constrict you and it can take energy away so you feel powerless, so you feel like not taking action, so you feel like doing nothing. So the story that you tell yourself, that is what makes stress either positive or negative. So the power of the mindset. Our mindset is that operating system of our life. And depending on how we use it, we're going to get complete different response from our hardware, our body and our brain that, yes, creates the mind, but also a hardware or an organ that also depends on that mindset. So that is the first very powerful piece of information I wanted to take away from today's podcast. That is not just me saying that. Again, look up David Eager, look up Andrew Huberman, amazing scientists with PhDs and all kinds of research papers published. And that is the recent understanding of stress. Stress is not negative or stressor. First, let me explain what I understood really well. Stress has actually three parts. It has the stressor, that is the event, the person, the conversation, whatever it is happening, that then leads to you telling yourself a story about that, whether that's a negative story or positive story, whether you can handle that stress or you don't have the capacity and you're all in fear and constricting and crawling under the blanket, hoping that it will just pass, right? Depending on the story, your body and your brain will act in a complete different way. And you can change that story, by the way. So stress, again, it has the stressor, it has the story that we tell ourselves, and that's where we actually have the leverage. We can change the story based on other people's experiences, based on our experience, based on just our ability to try new things and figure out new ways. So the stressor, the story, and then our response, our reaction, what happens after. And so what happens after, we do not control that much after we tell ourselves this story, right? And the powerful insight here is that you cannot control what happens to you. You cannot control the stressor, although, of course, to a degree, you can put yourself into different situations to control that to a degree. But you don't usually control what happens to you in life. But you can control what you tell yourself, what it means. I can tell myself that losing clients is a huge bad thing that I'll never be able to get over it now. My whole life and business is ruined. Or I can tell myself an empowering story that this is a way of life, of universe, of delivering me the success that I desire, because this challenge will make me grow, will make me change things, will make me change actions. And because of that, I'm going to get different result, the result that I want. And based on the story that I'm telling myself about the stressor, the event that happened, based on that story, my brain going to think differently. My brain is going to be looking for different solutions, and then I'm going to be taking different actions. Versus if I say to myself, well, this is a situation that I cannot handle. I do not have the resources. I'm I'm too weak for that. That is beyond what I can do. If I tell myself this story, then the response I'm going to get is going to be of a weak nature when I'd want to crawl under my blanket again, hide away, and do as little as possible to preserve my energy. I hope you guys see how powerful that is. And so whatever it is, the situation that is stressing you out in a negative way, realize that if you tell yourself a different story, the energy then you're going to have for the rest of your day, perhaps for the rest of your week and the rest of your months, perhaps for the rest of your life, if you tell yourself the different story, the actions that you're going to take, the energy then you're going to have, and ultimately, actually, the outcomes that you get are going to be different. So tell yourself a different story and you'll start moving in a completely new direction in life. So if you're feeling stuck, like I sometimes do, just look at the situation and make sure you're telling yourself the useful story, the story that is serving you to get to a new destination, to a new level, to a different place. So that's part one. Stress fitness. Call it stress fitness to make it more positive. Realize that if not all, then most stressful events or stressors are there to challenge us and to help us grow. Life does not give us something that we cannot handle. Then let's get to growth mindset, because in this first part about stress, it has a lot to do with your base setting of growth mindset or fixed mindset. Do you believe you can change? Do you believe you can improve? Do you believe you can handle situations better than you did in the past? Because if you don't, nothing else matters. If you don't, you're going to get stuck in the same loops, in the same patterns, if you don't believe that you can change based on new knowledge, based on new information. And as I tell my clients, beliefs are not right or wrong. It is your right to choose your own beliefs. But when you look at your beliefs, ask yourself, is this belief, is believing this is true, is it serving me, or does it keep me stuck? And then, depending on the answer, it's your power, it's your choice, it's your responsibility to figure out, like, what kinds of beliefs do I keep? What kinds of beliefs do I let go? So the first fundamental belief, right? And if you're not of a growth mindset and you believe that whatever you do, it's just how you do it, then probably this podcast is not for you. Change in days, not in years, is probably not for that kind of people. So I'm assuming you do have growth mindset. Maybe, as also researchers tell us, not in every area of your life. Like some areas you feel more stuck, like you've been on a loop, on a pattern, you've been stuck. Like I definitely feel in some areas. What researchers tell us is that, yes, we might believe fundamentally that we can grow, that we can change, but we don't necessarily act like it in all areas of our life. We might act like it in one area where we usually are masterful and we're making progress and we're feeling good. And we might not necessarily act like that in some other area where we feel weaker or stuck, or just a lot of more work has to be done before we grow there. So growth mindset, if you have it, it doesn't mean you have it everywhere. And that's true for absolutely everyone. What I recommend, based on my personal practice and practice with my clients, if there is an area that you feel you're stuck, you're probably not behaving out of growth mindset there. You're probably not looking deeper into the patterns that you repeat. And once you start doing that and start taking new actions that will feel uncomfortable, that will feel awkward, that will feel like not yourself. But once you start taking those different actions and track progress, you will get unstuck and you will grow. And that's how you start exercising growth mindset in that area as well. And back to the growth mindset, what helps us change? What is like the better model that makes people change, whether that's you or you want other people to change? So what helps us change the fastest? the model that I learned, it totally makes sense and made me realize I need to tell better stories and give you more examples, folks. And in my coaching practice as well, give more examples. And when I'm trying to change myself, also go and get some more stories from leaders that I admire. So the basic model that helps human beings to change is, first, we gotta receive information. Like today, you're receiving information, but that information is not enough. Then the second step is we need to see that example working in others. Specifically, it works very powerfully when we have other people who are more like us. We see that person doing that, and then like, yeah, I can do that too. You might not be into running, neither am I, but there is this story, that is true story, that when Roger Bannister, the guy who broke 4-minute mile, before him, it was thought to be impossible to run faster than 4 minutes, run a faster mile than a mile in 4 minutes. But then Roger broke this record. And guess what? After that, I believe it was in a week or in a few days, more and more people started breaking that record because now they knew it was possible. Like, it's possible. Now I need to work on that. So it helps us to change faster. Okay, we have the information to act on, but what helps us to act on that in a powerful way that helps us change, that helps us to overcome challenges, is seeing other people overcoming the same challenges. And that's why also, folks, if you are overcoming something, like I'm working on certain things, I need to do much better work, sharing my story, sharing my struggles and overcoming them, helping to document the journey. If you're working on something and you're struggling and you're overcoming, share this story with people around you, because then you'll empower them. You'll give them almost a permission to also progress in that area and show them that this is possible. So this is the second part, the stories that we expose ourselves, the stories of other people doing this that we are working on. And then the third part is the story of ourselves. And you might not have the story of growing in this specific area much. Like for me, business has been a struggle, of kind of being on the same level. So I might not necessarily have the stories of self-transformation in that area, but I do have stories of self-transformation in the area of health. When I overcame a health condition that nobody knew how to deal with, I did it. I figured it out. So when you have other areas of your life where you overcame challenges, where you overcame barriers, where you figured things out, things that kept you stuck at some level, use those stories to empower that belief that you can indeed overcome, that you can indeed cope with things, that you can indeed change, and you can find solution, even though at the moment it seems like there is no solution, right? So the technique, the knowledge, then other people, stories of other people doing that, giving you permission, giving you the understanding that it is possible, that you see it, like that Roger Bannister breaking that limit. And then the third part is the story of self, where in other areas of your life you proved that already. And for all of us, it just happens that way. The universe just works like that. And for all of us, we do have our strengths and our stronger sides and stories of strengths where we did overcome things. And then remind yourself of those stories and feel that power, feel that strength, and apply it to this new area. So this trifecta of fact, stories of others, stories, your own stories, that will help you to change in this area, to empower the change in that area that you're working on, whether that's health, fitness, relationship, business. That will help you to empower that growth mindset in that area where you might be stuck, to make a change and to one step at a time get to a different level. Another important piece of working on things and going through challenges and overcoming those barriers in our lives. Another important piece is to have some pulling driver, the reason why we want to change, why we want to overcome things, why we want to get to the other side. The reason to act is motivation. We all need that reason. Our brain does not work without a reason. And what researchers found through many experiments, trying to motivate people for different things and observing people who are self-motivated, what researchers figured out is the best kind of motivation combo or mix is when we have self-interest as a motivation. So we are selfish, but then also we have better world kind of motivation, service to other. Why other people's lives gonna get better, why it matters in the world that we do this challenging thing. So this mix of self-interest, like to give you an idea, when I conquer this business challenge, I obviously selfishly gonna get more money, more better vacations, more things to buy, more things to enjoy in all the different ways. That is the selfish part. But then the better world part, that is equally as important, if not more important for me. Helping my family, providing for my parents, especially later in life, helping my sister out with your kids, helping more people to unlock their stumbling blocks, to helping other people like myself at some point, to empower their inner self, to give them the tools so they use more of their power to build the vision of a better world. So we all live in a better world. So we all have more smiles, more joyful moments in our lives, and just feeling of service. That also a huge, strong motivation. And selfishness, yeah, it's kind of nice, but what I realized, it never it never pushed me towards anything bigger, anything challenges, the overcoming the hardest challenges. But for example, for me, it's very important to be there for my parents when they need it, for my family too, when they need it. And so that is a stronger motivator than a selfish motivator of going on some nice vacation. So, but completely not having self-interest, I cannot say that either. And what research also found, that when people have the selfish interest fulfilled and they have the common good, the good for others, the good for the worst motivation, when people have really clear understanding of both of them, that's where they catapult into the impossible and make the most audacious goals happen. So if you want to motivate yourself, if you want to motivate others, look into the presence of these two things, self-interest and other interest, and help them to clarify, to combine them. And that's where people are pulled and driven, and you don't need to kick them in the butt to make things happen. People will know why it is important to get things done. Another important piece of this motivation and mentoring others and coaching others and helping others. And sometimes it is yourself, sometimes it's your kids, sometimes it's your partner, sometimes it's your parents, sometimes it's your coworkers. Maybe you're a leader and you lead a team, you're a business owner and you lead a big company. A huge part of creating things, of making your visions happen for the better world, or helping other people to make their vision happen, make their goals happen. A huge part of it is having the skills to be a good mentor. And I wanted to share with you what I call magical phrase of a mentor. I learned from the same scientist, David Eger. And he says it's one of the best phrases to help people to rise to the occasion and to get to the challenge, driven to overcome it. So the phrase that you can use with other people and with yourself goes along the lines. Please feel free to change it and look up David Eger and Mentor's Mindset if you want to find it as well, and some more information, more resources. By the way, David is coming out with a book at the end of August. So the phrase is, I'm giving you these commands because I have high standards for you and I know you can meet them. Let me repeat this again, to self-motivate and motivate others, mentor, coach others, especially when giving feedback, and especially when feedback is constructive, right? Not necessarily on a positive note. And by the way, if you want to make people grow, you kind of have to figure out how to give them feedback that is constructive, that is not as pleasant. So the phrase is, I'm giving you these commands because I have high standards for you, and I know you can meet them. This is the magical phrase of a mentor. And if you truly mean it, this will make magic happen in other person. This will fuel them like rocket fuel so they can catapult to their wildest successes. And also a useful framework on how in general to mentor or coach other people and yourself. And folks, by the way, without other people, you will not be able to achieve anything in life. Your mission has to do with other people, your vision has to do with other people, and you need other people in some form or fashion to deliver on that mission. Nobody's a lone wolf in this world. So how to coach, mentor better other people and yourself? Number one, acknowledge people's feelings where they are. Don't dismiss their feelings or tell them how they should be feeling because that's your opinion. No, get to acknowledge and accept where people are because that's exactly how they feel. That's their worldview and that's their unique perspective. That is 100% just as valid as yours. So acknowledge, don't dismiss. Number two, ask questions. Don't tell people what to do. Ask questions. I'm guilty of that, especially being a coach, being a mentor to so many. I'm learning now. Ask more questions. If you want to help people, you got to ask more questions. Why people do what they do? What do they want to do? How do they want to do it? What worked before? What didn't? What's the point? Ask questions. People will know the best way to work with them. You don't know that, they do. So second one, ask questions. Don't tell people what to do or what they should be. Number three, be transparent. Be transparent about your goals, about what you're trying to achieve, where you're coming from, why do you say the things that you say. Don't assume that you know that other people know what's in your head. Don't assume ever. Be very, very transparent. And number four, state that you have high standards. That's the magical phrase of a mentor. I'm giving you these commands because I have high standards for you and I know you can meet them. Again, merge it with the situation at hand, but use this and give people the understanding that you are giving them these commands and you giving them these tools and tasks and assignments because you indeed believe in them and you have high standards and you want them to succeed. And that's exactly why you do it. And you're giving them these commands again because you believe they can do it. So again, the framework, acknowledge what people feel. Don't brush it off. Don't tell them what they gotta feel. Number two, ask questions. Don't tell them. Ask questions. People know themselves better than you do. Number three, be transparent about your goals, your intentions, what's in your head. Other people don't understand that either. Nobody's a mind reader. And number four, use the magical phrase of a mentor. I'm giving you these commands because I have high standards for you and I know you can meet them. And that's all that I wanted to share with you folks today. We started with stressors and challenges and what is the useful, right, progressive way to tell yourself stories about stress so you are equipped, so the stress makes you better to deal with challenges of life. And don't forget, this stressor is never positive or negative. It's just the stories that we tell ourselves are positive or negative. Number two, we talked about how growth mindset, you can adapt it in one area, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have the same growth mindset in other areas. Especially look more closely into the areas where you are stuck. And also talked about how, yes, we can have the knowledge how to change, but in order to change and start changing effectively, we need to see examples of others. And the beauty of this world, you have social media, you have internet, you can find all kinds of stories that will move you forward. And then the story of self, your stories. Where do you have the stories of strengths that you can lean on to propel yourself forward and to give you the feeling that you are capable. To motivate yourself and others, don't forget to create clarity about the self-interest and the interest for others, for the better world, for the service. People are driven the best when we understand why it is important for ourselves and to serve other people. And to mentor, coach others, 4-step framework: acknowledge, ask questions, be transparent, and use the magical phrase of a mentor. I'm giving you these commands because I have high standards for you, and I know you can meet them. Folks, I hope you found this extremely useful. That is the foundation, basic knowledge one-on-one about the science of change. Change in days, not in years. It is challenging. Change is one of the, if not the most challenging thing we are attempting here. We human beings, but we also human beings with the brain are the ones who are the most adaptable, changeable, and fluid from all the other animals and types of consciousness on this planet. So realize the kind of power you've been given and use it. And now you have, if not all the tools, but a pretty powerful mix of them. So put them into action starting today. Again, back to the beginning of our podcast. Choose one. If it's a magical phrase of a mentor, choose that. If it's the whole mentor's the process, 4 steps: acknowledge, ask questions, be transparent, and use the phrase, then that's going to be it. Or perhaps is changing your stories around different stressful situations so you rise to the occasion. What is it? Choose one and put it into practice for the next 3 to 7 days. The more powerful the change and the faster the change is going to be. That's it for today, folks. I hope you found this useful. And if you did, please do me a huge favor for me, but it's not such a huge thing for you. Please do share it with at least one person who might be struggling, who might be stuck, and who might need these tools to get them to the next step. Please do share this podcast, screenshot it, or send them the link on the platform where they are, right? So please do share this podcast. Let's help each other change in days, not in years. So together we can create the most amazing version of the world that it possibly can be. Thank you, folks, for listening. Thank you for your attention. Until next time. By the way, that's when we're going to talk about communication and becoming super communicators to achieve our goals and move our objectives forward and to create a better world. So stay tuned for that on Friday. Have an awesome growth mindset kind of day, and you'll hear from me very soon.